So who would like to share from group 2? Travis, you might be speaking, but I think we're not hearing you.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so I did the history of the blues. This is a course that I took in college, and I really enjoyed. So I kind of modeled it after that course, and something that I was really interested in, and something that I think we can easily connect to, and the students can easily connect to. And so, cool. I started off with some recordings from Alan Lomax, who, if you're not familiar with Alan Lomax, he has a bunch of recordings from the 20th century. And so I started off with some recordings of a holler that is from 1948, but models kind of what came before from the African culture, because music and rhythmic beats and these things are really coming from the African culture and are brought over during triangular trade. So I started off with a holler, and then I get into a work song, which are early signs of the blues music. And then I get into kind of the early signs of the blues with ragtime and with W.C. Handy, who's the father of the blues. I get into Ma Rainey, who's the mother of the blues, and who is also the mentor of Bessie Smith, who's known as the Empress of the Blues. And then I get into Mamie Smith, who's known as the first African American to record a blues song, which is really important. I also get into the appropriation of the blues, because it's going to be taken over by white people, and so the original Dixie Jazz Band is going to be the first group that's going to record a song and kind of market it as a blues album. So I got into the appropriation a little bit, got into Duke Ellington. I think some things from the first group that presented, I want to dive into. I get into Billie Holiday, but I also want to add in kind of the struggle as well. So like including Billie Holiday's "Strange Fruit" would be a great example of getting into that, and then including "This Is America" at the end, which you'll understand why that connects. But that's a great example, and I love that you included that in the first group. And then I really dive into the Mississippi Delta, because the Mississippi Delta is going to be a kind of the beginning of a lot of things that we enjoy today. So I get into Robert Johnson, who's a very interesting character. The story is that he sold his soul to the devil so that he could play the guitar better. So I had to include a little bit of Robert Johnson. John Lee Hooker's Boom Boom. We love CSI, so we got to include that example. And then Muddy Waters is really, really important, because Muddy Waters, Mississippi Delta, Mississippi Delta style is going to kind of be the early descendant of rock and roll, which is where I'm going, because of a few things. And then B.B. King here, and all of these are videos, and that's going to be really important. And so the Beatles actually have said several times in interviews throughout history that they were, when they were young, before they became the Beatles, they were trying to get their hands on Muddy Waters albums and trying to get their hands on albums from the Mississippi Delta, because they love the guitar style, and you can hear it in their music as well. I'm sure many of you are Beatles fans. Janis Joplin's voice is going to be a clear example of the kind of rawness of the voice of the blues, the early blues in Mississippi Delta specifically. Jimi Hendrix, his guitar playing, easy example. And then where do we go from here? I mean, we go to funk and soul with James Brown. We go to R&B with our girl Aretha, and then to the early signs of hip hop, which is really important, because, and this is where I would go to next with This Is America, right? We've got the early signs of hip hop, which connect to with funk and soul and blues. And then I'd like to go into like a modern day song like This Is America. That would be a really good segue, I think. And then this is just an article that kind of dives into everything that I went into. But my goal was to hear the evolution, not read about it, not hear me say there's an evolution of this. When I use this, I want my students to hear that evolution and hear those connections and hear those similarities. So that's not just Mr. Walker saying it, they're seeing it, they're hearing it. And so I love the additions from group one. I'm really excited about that.
Thank you so much, Travis.